Welcome to my living room. I'm Tanner B Dees. You may hear the sound of street workers and machines and bulldozers outside, beeping and backing up. They are doing an amazing job fixing our street, and we are really grateful for them. Today I talk about my fear of failure and trying to be a perfectionist. Somewhere whenever I was young, I don't think it's from my parents, they're not super perfectionist types. I picked up this thing where I wouldn't do something unless it was perfect, unless I knew it was going to be amazing and wow somebody, I wasn't gonna do it. And so that made a fear of failure. And so I played baseball growing up, and it was easy for me because I was naturally really good, and so I had no fear of it, and I just did it. So how that pertains to being a musician is I would never have picked up an instrument because it's hard. There's a really long learning curve. You don't usually just pick it up and play and become a natural. There's a lot of practice, hours and hours of practice that come into it. So I didn't grow up being a musician. It wasn't until about 17 or so, my parents randomly bought me a drum set when I was, for Christmas. I didn't ask for it or anything, I just bought it. It was super random. There wasn't YouTube, there wasn't all this stuff out there to help people learn, so I just played to songs that I liked. My need for it to be perfect is I just didn't want to play that much because it didn't sound that great, and I would record it on this little tablet, and it was discouraging to hear it not be good. And so I did that for a couple years in high school. Didn't get very great. Went to college. You can't take your drum set to college. Towards the end of college, my parents bought me a guitar. I was about 20 or so. I didn't really know how to learn and play, so it was just beginner phase for a really long time. Then the reason that I stayed a musician was my wife was a youth pastor, and they needed somebody to do youth worship. Because of that, my wife, who has a really strong will, she wanted me to play for the youth, to lead worship, and I would never have done it if she didn't. If she hadn't made me, in all reality, and I still was just overcome by fear, and I would just shake and tremble through it. I was not very good. I was an amateur, and so I just helped, and that's how I learned. I played the G, C, E minor, D over and over and over again, and I started to grow in that role, and I had a huge fear of stage fright and being in front of people, and this need for perfection constantly coming into play. And so I had terrible stage fright. I didn't want to be on stage. I just did it because I needed to do it. And so I kept falling into this role to where I was in charge and responsible, and in the midst of it, I was still terrified of perfection. When people think of fears, they often think that it's just this instant, I'm going to conquer my fear. I'm going to jump out of a plane and I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm going to go on this trip. I'm going to go out for this job. There's this sort of like grand gesture, this explosion of I'm free. And that's what we think how fear is often conquered. And I learned that that's not very true in most cases. That it's really a slow roll every day of doing something that's kind of counterintuitive, that the fear keeps cropping up and you have to kind of go against what the fear is a little bit, and you have to live in that and work through it, and before you know it, the baby steps turn into big steps and the pace gets faster and stronger. Another big thing that I learned about fear is that for me, when I was on stage and my fear of talking on fear of public speaking, it all came from me. It was about me, and that's where the fear came from. Was I was concerned what people would think of me, and how do they perceive me, and it was all about me. And whenever I learned, well, I wasn't on that stage for me to begin with, I was on it to help others and to encourage others. And through time and process and learning, it took years and years and years for me to get to that place. And now I don't really get stage fright. I don't really get nervous. It's comfortable for me now. And that's because of this daily, okay, it's not about me. And your fear might come from a different place. It might not be related to that at all, but once you kind of figure out what it's about, then you can start to make your stride and start to move forward. That it's not about that. So I've learned to play drums. I've learned to play guitar. Just a couple years ago, I started playing piano and I started producing my own music. I'm not afraid to fail, because not trying is failing. And there's this one thing that I truly believe is that it's all about serving others. And so if I focus on myself, then I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to be afraid of what they think whenever I can just do it for them. And then most importantly, it's about loving God. And through loving God, I'm able to serve others and not serve myself. There's this one key thing that helped me through all this, is that through Jesus, I am more than a conqueror, and that I believe God is above all things. And because of that, I believed in that, and through those years, I was radically changed, because I kept hanging on the fact that I wasn't going to be afraid, and I was going to continue to do something that felt counterintuitive. And because of that, I'm experiencing freedom. And if you don't, have a faith, that's okay. But this is just maybe one thing that can encourage you and maybe lead you through what you're going through, so that you can be in a better place tomorrow. So I'm going to play my song Come Press Down as sort of an example of not being afraid and just going for it and just doing it and being where I'm at and not worrying about maybe who somebody else is or who I want to be. So thanks for tuning in. Press down, turn the lights out. Here I spend all I know. Never come no home. Never come no home. Grimy sun on the ground. Still it spins, no I know. Let go now, maybe forever. I work these nights for you. Tick, what am I doing? And talk, what am I doing? And call, but it feels like losing. So come press down, turn the lights out. Here I spin all I know. Never come no home, never come no home. The heart lights out another now. It's cold here, where are you? I'm building a dream or an altar for me. My heart is in rhythm. There's no phone, it's night. No pause when it's five. No rest when it's light. I messed up, guys. All right, here we go. There's no phone, it's night. No buzz when it's fight. No rest when it's light. I'm coming home tonight. I'm coming home tonight. I'm coming home tonight. Come press down, turn the lights out. Here I spin all I know. Never come no home, never come no home. Grab a dog, searching for it. Hoping, oh I'm hoping. Maybe I'll see the light. Maybe now, oh I'm light. 3 a.m. when I parked it, turned the key and I started. Driving, driving, drive now, even for a night. Come press down, turn the lights out. Here I spin all I know. Never come home, never come home. I hope this is encouraging you to take the slow roll, the slow journey, conquering your fear every day, making little steps. It's not maybe about a bold exclamation, but just about something simple that you do every day. And you'll get there, you'll get through it, and you'll get past it. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this is good for you.